we're exposing Democrats' double standards on top issues and what we're calling rules for thee, but not for me. Joining me now is Dan Bongino, Fox News contributor, author of the book Exonerated, along with Chris Hahn, former aide to Senator Chuck Schumer, and host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast. All right, gentlemen, I want to begin with comments made by Michelle Obama last night in Chicago. Now, we played her husband's correct assessment of the cancel culture, but what we didn't show you is this claim by his wife.
As we moved in, white folks moved out because they were afraid of what our families represented. I want to remind white folks that y'all were running from us, and you're still running.
Meanwhile, as folks pointed out on social media today, her family's most recent purchase, about a $15 million mega mansion spread on Martha's Vineyard. That doesn't exactly sound like a bastion for, new immigrants, does it? But that's okay. Dan, you know, her comments came at the same event that I think Barack Obama showed again why no one touches him in the Democrat Party. I mean, he manages to make, things sound cool, and, so everyone has calmed down. It's going to be okay. But very interesting contrast there.
Yeah, his comments about cancel culture were great. I just wish he wouldn't have tried to cancel the Trump presidency via the Spygate thing. Then it would have been just peachy. But the problem with Michelle Obama's comments are they're so ridiculous and absurd. We're all dumber for having heard them. Listen, Laura, I have the unique experience of having been a Secret Service agent for the Obamas, and I'll say in advance, personally, they were very kind to me. I have no interest in disparaging them personally, and I never will. But for them to say people were running from them, Laura, we had to beat people away from the Obamas. People love the. No one was running from the Obamas. And I get what Chris is probably going to say. She's making a more generic comment about the black community in general. And why I don't deny there are specific isolated cases of racism in America. I don't deny that no one should. Claiming somehow that white people en masse are fleeing from blacks in America in modern day is one of the dumbest things I have ever heard in my life. I've lived in New York, Maryland, and Florida, diverse states, and I've never seen any nonsense like this at all.
Well, Chris, it is true that people are fleeing. However, they're fleeing cities that aren't run very well. I have friends in Chicago who despise Trump, but they're like, I'm done with this teacher strike. Like, our kids are out of school for 11 days. They're just pulling their hair out. L.A., people are obviously upset about some of the problems there. So what about the fleeing narrative? How does that sound accurate?
Well, the first part of her statement was talking about history that is very well documented, the white flight out of the cities and even in some suburban areas. And I think if you look at the way developments happen across this country today, you see resistance in suburban communities to any project that they think might urbanize their neighborhood. And that's just
where is that? The 50s and 60s we had white flight. Yeah, but we had white flight back in the 50s and 60s. But 60 Minutes did a great story some years ago about the new migration is from major northeastern cities. I'm from Connecticut, so Hartford, that's where I grew up, Glastonbury, that whole area. The flight out of New England, terrible management of these cities. Chicago, people are going down south. They're going down in South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia. They're going to places that they think are run better. That's the narrative. It's not a racial narrative.
Look, you know what? There are people that are moving for all sorts of reasons. And what Michelle Obama said is not untrue. There are people who will move away. Not all people, not everyone, but there are people who will move because they are concerned that their community might be becoming more diverse.
There are bad people, and there are racist people, and there always will be, sadly, because we live in a flawed society. Yes. Let's not move on to Elizabeth Warren. Here she is touting, I guess, her $800 billion education plan at a rally in South Carolina on Saturday. Watch.
Is opportunity just going to be reserved increasingly for those who are born into privilege? Or are we going to be a country of opportunity? Opportunity so that every kid in America has the opportunity to get a first-rate education.
Right, privilege. I mean, I think she believes that public schools should benefit students, not the financial or ideological interests of wealthy patrons, like the DeVos and the Walton families. She says she's going to fight to ban for-profit charter schools that outsource their operations for for-profit companies. And then she made this pledge. More ironic is that the fact that she reportedly sent her own son, Dan, to an elite private school. I mean, she can send her kids wherever she wants, but You know, if you want to hang with the public school, I went to public school, but, you know, then send your kids to the public school and I guess try to improve them that way.
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren's the biggest fraud in the race right now. She sends her kids to a wealthy public school. You know, there are 22,000 public high schools in the country. 2,000 of them are responsible for half the dropouts. Just 2,000. If you happen to be black, you have a 50% chance of sending your kid to one of those dropout factories. I wonder how Liz, with her kid, and by the way, I applaud Elizabeth Warren. Nice job for sending your child to a great school. I don't knock her for it. I just wish she wasn't such a fake, phony fraud like every other liberal out there who wants to lock a parent out of sending their kid to a good school. I'm sure Chris can have some nonsense talking point about draining money from public schools.
I know it's easy for you to mock her and to call her a hypocrite than to come up with a plan
She's
to
a
try
fraud.
to reverse some of these schools.
That's because she is.
She's got a plan. She's adopted the NAACP's plan to do that. And I think you should read the plan before you mock her and call her fraud, because you clearly haven't.
I did read it.
It's very easy for you to say she's a hypocrite because she sent her son somewhere. But you're just, you know what it is? You don't respect capitalism, Dan, and that's your problem. She's achieving.
Chris, you don't respect the truth. You don't respect personal dignity by saying something so stupid.
For what she's done.
Chris, seriously, go reevaluate that statement before you
guys, we gotta go. This is a fun second anniversary to partly spend with you guys. But she also got slammed though by the New York Times this week, which was a little interesting for defending corporations in court. So she's anti-corporate, but then interesting stuff going on. We'll see where this all leads. Dan and Chris, thank you. And coming up, a big announcement about the past and future of this show. Stay there.